Hi, welcome everybody. My name's Bonnie Mills and I work for Generation Citizens National Program Team, and I'm really excited to have one of our teacher partners here with me today.
Hi, I'm Shannon Jones. I teach 8th grade U.S. history in Austin, Texas, and I've been a Generation Citizen teacher for the last year and a half.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shannon, for being with us. And we're excited to talk a little bit today about what it's like to have a class in action during the action phase, or really when they're implementing the plan that they've created. We've gotten the chance to watch a video of your students actually in action talking about it, and it's loud and chaotic and exciting and busy. So we wanted to turn the tables over to you too to hear a little bit more about what is it like from the teacher's perspective. So I guess what I'm kind of hoping to hear from you first is if somebody came into your classroom or was wondering what's going on in your class, how would you describe it? Like, what does the room look like and feel like? What's going on during a day in action?
Okay, so just prior to the day in action, we would have broken ourselves into 3 different groups: the development argument group, the lobby decision maker group, and the rally the support group. And we did this in a variety of ways. We actually first did something where we had the students do kind of a personality test to see where they kind of fell and what they were most comfortable with. And then we explained the groups, and then they got to pick which group they wanted to be in. And so when you walk into my class, they're in those 3 different groups. And we have big tables set up in the classroom. And so we cordoned them off where the developing the argument group was in one group of tables, and then the lobbying decision, and then the rallying support. And oftentimes the rallying support was in and out of the classroom. Lucy, who you saw on the video, she was one of our rallying support, and she oftentimes was leading something here, then running out to go film something, and so they're coming in and out as well.
And when you say coming in and out, do you mean in and out of the classroom? Are they leaving the school, or it's all within the building?
The classroom, yes.
Okay.
And actually, oftentimes, because it was so loud and chaotic, if they were having to call someone, we found teachers who were on their planning period, and they would go into that really quiet classroom and do it. But also in this group in particular, they were filming something, and so we have a black box theater, and the theater teacher let them go in and film their kind of PDA no, PSA.
PSA.
Yeah, so their PSA.
Yeah.
In the black box theater.
That is so cool. That's awesome. Okay. I mean, I'm sure that there are teachers that are also wondering, when you've got all these different groups, you've got your lobby decision makers and the different groups that you mentioned, doing so many different tasks. You've got all these different groups. How do you as the teacher manage that sort of group work?
We were in a really fortunate situation with that particular year, where you saw the video, and that I was co-teaching the class with a teacher. We Generation Citizen had just started in Central Texas, and my department chair and I saw this amazing possibility of bringing the class as an elective to our middle school. And so we were able to maneuver our schedules so we could co-teach this elective. And we kind of handpicked the students to come in, and they were all 7th graders.
Nice.
And so with my co-teacher, myself, and then our democracy coach, we were able to have one adult with each of the groups. And so that worked really nicely because we all found like where we were most comfortable, and then we were able to help the students. In years following, I haven't always I've been the lone teacher, and then I have my democracy coach in there. And so we have balanced it out. Sometimes we invite other teachers in who are really interested in what we're doing and maybe who have strengths in certain areas, and we have them come in and help with the different groups. But you usually can groups who need to have someone sitting right there at the table with them, and then you have groups who that they can come over and ask fine working on their own. So usually within that classroom, we try to have multiple adults in there with each group. But if it doesn't happen, you as a teacher know exactly who's going to be able to work well on their own and who's going to need more support.
Definitely. So it makes me think about when I was a classroom teacher, when I would put students into groups, and sometimes I would do groups that were heterogeneous based off of ability, or sometimes they were more homogeneous. But it sounds like since these groups are more based off of like students' interests as far as what type of research they'd like to do, I would guess that the groups also tend to be relatively heterogeneous as far as ability as well. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, we had students who had created films before, and we had students who had no idea how to even use like the video function on some of the equipment that we had. And so it was really incredible, actually.
Yeah.
The school that we're at is kind of special in that there's a magnet program that is pulling students from all over Austin, application based, and then we have which is our students who it's their neighborhood school. And so this class, we split exactly 50-50, half of the magnet program, half of our neighborhood program. And so the kids were able to like get to see and meet each other and recognize their different strengths. I mean, it was really special. It was by far and away our like most favorite year that we've done this.
That is so great. I think I've heard stories about your class before, actually, because that's ringing a bell now. So what about, some of the classic things that happen when you've got students working in groups? You often have the group that gets done before everybody else, and they're like, what should we do next? Or they just end up on their phones or something. How do you manage kind of the different deadlines that groups have over the course of action?
That's a great question, in particular because sometimes like the research group tended to finish a little bit early because they were leading the drive kind of thing, right?
Right.
And all the other groups needed that research. And oftentimes we could find something else for them to do within the other groups, like, oh, well, why don't you come over and help them? The lobbying decision makers, the group that was going to be calling or sending emails, the research person could go over and give them that information, like face to face, as opposed to just sharing everything digital or via Google Docs. We also sometimes there were times where we were like, you know what, if you're finished and you've got homework you need to do or work for another class, then we would have them do that. But I find, and I think that every probably Generation Citizen teacher is going to find this, is there's never like not enough stuff to do. There was always something to do.
Yeah.
And so whether it is, making a poster or cleaning up an email or whatever it might be, I rarely found that we had people who were bored and didn't have anything to do.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting too, but I'm glad to have that confirmed. What would you say when you think about that period of implementing their plan? What's the most exciting thing for you as the teacher?
Oh, hands down, the most exciting thing was the ownership that the students took. I mean, I was working with 7th graders, and I mean, 7th graders are young still, and they not only rose to the occasion, but they really showed their maturity and they were invested, and it took a lot. I mean, we really had to sort of build this class dynamic and really allow for them to trust one another. But once they did, the amazing part is they do it. Like, I mean, we were facilitators, but they ran the show. They came up with all the ideas. They were the ones who, created the video, created the website, created all of the social media, like did everything on their own and still wanted to do more. And so, yes, that hands down. And I have to say, like, when you have a middle school student or even a high school student who is calling policymakers and they are incredibly articulate, and the policymaker doesn't realize that they're actually just talking to a 7th grader, when they finally find out, they're blown away. I mean, that was probably the comment that we got most from a lot of the lawmakers that our students contact, was that they couldn't believe that they were in 7th grade.
Oh, I love that. That is so cool. Okay, well, my last question for you, and you might have hinted at some of it already, but we'll just make sure. If you had any advice to give a teacher who's about to embark on this, implementing this plan period for the first time, what would your advice be?
Oh, definitely that it's going to be scary. You're going to be nervous, but you kind of just have to let go, because we will take this on. And I think that if you build that classroom environment where they know what the expectations are and that you believe in them and that you trust them to do this, that they're going to take that and they're going to run with it. And so, I mean, it can be loud, it can be big, and it can be scary, and it can feel really chaotic sometimes. And I'm sure from that video, at times you're like, oh, that seems a little much, but trust in it and go with it. And also use your resources that you have. I mean, the people who are there from Generation Citizen in your school district, the people, your democracy coaches, like really lean on them if you're feeling anxious and nervous. Because I know we have Meredith Norris, and she was like amazing for us, because my co-teacher Jenna Martin and I, we would, you know, email her and be like, Meredith, we don't know what we're doing. Are we doing this right? And she would come in and she would say, oh yeah, it's going great. And so yeah, just trust that it's going to turn out. And it's
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shannon. I really appreciate it. I know that our teachers that are going to watch this at our PDs are also going to really appreciate it. And good luck this next school year with your students.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks.